Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee. This is Realtor Life, and I'm so happy you're here. Today we have an awesome guest, Chris McAuley. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Crystal, how are you?
Very good, and so excited to
Good.
have you on today.
Glad to
So,
be here.
oh, so good. So, Chris and I met at the London Chamber of Commerce. We are both on
Mhm.
the Community Engagement Committee, and it was a few moons ago. And we're also both part of the London Executives Association, or the LEA, here in town. Chris, what is the name of your company?
My company's called McAvoy Incorporated. I also operated under my name, Chris
Yeah.
McAuley.
Yep.
Um, Originally, actually, a quick story on that, if I
Yeah,
could.
I love that.
I originally was going to go with Chris McAuley because I was always brought up to understand that the spelling of my last name, the capital M, small c,
Yes,
capital A, was very unique.
it is.
But
Yep.
it's not actually. There are so
Really?
many Chris McCauley's out there with that name. It's like I just wanted to go with Chris McCauley Consulting. I was looking at a whole bunch, but there's already people taken. There's actually a real estate agent somewhere in Southern Ontario with that name. I don't know if he's in commercial or what he does. Anyway, I just came across a lot of Chris McCauley's. I thought, well, I can't use that anymore. So McAvoy actually was the middle name of my godfather, who was very important to me in my life. So that's why I
Really?
chose McAvoy.
Oh,
And
that's
yeah,
cool. I
yeah,
did not know that. Okay, that's really cool.
yeah.
Um, it's yeah, and what does your company do?
Well, I focus on helping business leaders become respected and memorable speakers in their field. And I work with them on whether it be a presentation, whether it be a speech, a keynote address. I also work with individuals in high pressure situations, those people that are stuck in those. Sometimes when we get into those moments where we have to think fast on our feet, or it's high pressure sales. And as we both know, as many of us know, if we've been in that situation, lots can happen in those high pressure situations. Things can kind of collapse, get away
Yes.
from us, and we don't do as well as we want. So I help people be able to maintain that level of confidence in those moments. That's the other thing I do
Yes.
as well.
Yes. And huge testimonial. Chris is currently helping me prepare for a speech that I'm
Mm.
giving in Ottawa in April. So very exciting. I think this is going to be aired after that speech. So hopefully it went well.
It'll be amazing. You're
Um,
very good, Crystal.
thank
Very good.
you. Thank you.
Yes. Great
Um,
energy.
Thank you so much. And right back at you. I think one thing that's important, we actually had a realtor on. I was talking with her yesterday, and
Mm.
we were talking about the importance of practice. And to your point, when you get into a high pressure sales situation, um, if the first time you have thought to deal with the conversation is while it's happening,
Mm.
that's risky business, right?
Yes. Very. Absolutely. Because a lot of the time I find what a lot of people do is that we end up I like to remind people, do you know what you're saying as you say it, or are you thinking of it as you speak? If
Yes.
you're thinking of it as you speak, then you're unsure, and when things live in our head,
Yeah.
it's so easy to collapse. It's so easy to just, fall apart. And that's where we start to get into all kinds of second guessing ourselves because that's where a lot of those thoughts live.
Yeah.
So yeah, the practice is key. And obviously it's like, and we all know this. I mean, the more times we're in those high pressure situations, the better we get.
Yeah.
We know ourselves, we know what to listen for. And, but you do have to have some scars. You have to get some scars first for sure. That's all part of the
Do.
process.
You do.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like when we talk about preparation for a speech, and I
Mm,
definitely want to get into like how you found this path,
mm,
but they were talking about some big changes that happened in the US. And like they were really dependent, your success became really dependent on a conversation that you could have. So they took a group of agents, and for
mm.
6 weeks, every single week, they put them in a room for 2 hours and they had to do role playing so
Yeah.
that when they had these hard conversations, they'd be ready to have them. And the
Excellent.
success from this has been so good. But that's the thing, like even when you and I are talking, like we're kind of like, what is the message you're trying to get
Right.
across? And then how are you going to communicate that?
So important. So important. And you really have to and I know this sounds so cliche, but it is critical. You really have to know what it is you want the audience to take away.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of us end up doing in those situations is that because of the pressure or the anxiety, we like to rush. We like to
Yes.
move so quickly, and when we move so quickly, that's when things get ahead of us, and that's when we react and we don't give the answer we want to get. And of course, often in those cases, we're reacting from emotions, which is not always a great place. It's a great place to share, and you want to be able to do that when you're speaking, but sometimes it can get us into trouble. And so I always recommend, to me, if there's one thing I pass on to everybody,
Yeah.
pause.
Yes.
That's slow down. And
Oh,
I've had people say to me, well, Chris, you tell me to pause for 3 seconds. That's so quick. Actually, 3 seconds
few
is a
seconds
long
can be a
time.
long time. Yeah.
It's a long time. Like when you sit there and think, it's just enough time for you to be able to slow down.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say? Where am I going here?
Yeah.
And it's focusing on, what's my point going to be? And then be able to just relay it at that point. It's
Yeah.
so hard if we just rush and we don't pause. We don't take that moment because then we're just going off. And I've been in those situations where I can honestly say, after I say something, I'm not sure what I said. I'm like, I don't even
It's
know what that was. It
yeah,
just came
well,
out. Yeah.
yeah, it's like when you're listening to someone, and I mean, I think we're all guilty of it at the beginning of our path. Like
Mm.
you're listening, and while you're listening, you're formulating the next thing you're going to say.
Yeah.
So you're not really listening. And if you're same thing,
No.
if you're talking and you're focusing on like thinking at the same time, you don't really know what you said. Right?
Exactly. It happens so fast. And
Yeah.
it's just our world too. It's unfortunate, but it's our culture. It's the way we're brought up, right? We're always
Yes.
brought up from a very young age. If you're smart, things are quick.
Yeah.
Your answer's fast. If I know what I'm talking about and I'm the expert, then my answer is quick, fast, and clear. That is absolute nonsense. I don't think you have to be fast. You don't have to have it off the top of your head. It's okay to slow down
Yeah.
and then respond. There's nothing wrong with that. That was there you go. That was like 2 seconds right there. I mean, that
Yeah.
was just, and if you do that, you can think and you can just, you can and you get far better, you give far better responses in those moments if you just slow down. But it's a tough habit to break if most of your life you've just been responding very quickly. It's tough to break.
It is. And I mean, there are some tricks people do. And the only downside is I have some colleagues and they did some training where whenever they answer a question, they first repeat the question. And then
Yes.
so someone will say like or they'll just repeat the answer before they say something. So someone will say, "Oh, like are you upset?" Well, I'm not upset, but I'm angry. And they're like, "Oh, okay, you're not upset, but you're angry." And then they keep going.
Right.
And it's a great thing if you don't do it for every sentence.
Yeah. People catch on. Absolutely.
They
But it's
do,
a
and
great
then they get distracted.
exactly. But it's a
Yes.
great way to buy time. It buys yourself a little time, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But you're absolutely right. It's like pausing every time. I mean, after a while,
Yes.
it gets a little
One trick
hard.
pony. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and people kind of pick up on it. But still, well worth building
Have it
it
in the tool
into
belt.
your. Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
well worth it. There's a fantastic book I think I shared with you called The Next Conversation
Yeah.
by Jefferson Fisher. Highly recommend anyone who's listening get it. It's a fantastic book. You can also follow him on Instagram. And that's one of the things that he says is that the first word out of your mouth when you speak, no matter what it is, conversation, presentation, is a breath. Yeah, just breathe. And that's the pause. You just take a
Yeah.
breath. Average deep breath is about 3 seconds, right? And then go. And of course, the deep breath, what does it do? It really helps settle us
Oh,
down. It
yeah.
helps us get a little ground. Yeah, it's a great technique, and I love it. I think it's so good. It's so simple,
Yes.
tough to do at times, but really simple and helpful. Yeah.
And I think the thing is, so like one of the best things as you guys are listening to this, even if you're not preparing for a big presentation in front of like so many people,
Yeah,
every conversation you have is kind of a presentation,
absolutely.
right?
Very much. Yes. And sometimes they turn into it. As I said, you and I spoke about this.
Yeah.
The when you get caught off guard, which many of us do in business, whatever business we're in, there's many times you have to think fast on your feet,
Yeah.
and you find yourself in those situations where, yeah, all of a sudden you are presenting. You're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be the slides or the media up in front of a room. It can simply be in a discussion with somebody, in a sales meeting, whatever the case may
Yes.
be, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's dig into the good stuff here. So
Yeah.
is this kind of so you train people on their communication skills and their presentation
Mm.
skills.
Yes.
Was this kind of when you're like young Chris, was this the plan or has it evolved? Like, how did you get here?
Great question. And it evolved for sure. Now, there's always been a part of me that liked to perform. I was always a performer. I always enjoyed performing in front of a group. I was probably one of the kids that would get up in front of the class and feel
Yep.
more comfortable than most in being able to speak and do a presentation.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. And I really liked it. And so it was always there, but it's not where I originally started off. So as I went through, I did the high school and then I went to university. And originally, just a quick story here, I followed my dad's footsteps. My father was a forensic examiner, very successful and respected forensic examiner, and thought, oh, that's
Nice.
kind of cool. I'm going to follow him and his path. But I got into the sciences at university and thought, yeah, I'm not doing this. It was hard.
I
And
can
I think you
imagine.
quickly realize, which is what they do at university, right? In those first years, you really
Yeah.
find out if you want it, you can find a way to get through it. But I just didn't want it, so I
Yep.
didn't go through it.
I
So I
hear it.
switched and ended up going into phys ed and physiology, and that was my focus, biomechanics, and I started loving
Yeah.
that. And at that point in time, attended York University in the 80s, which at that time, that university was probably the best school in the country, if not in North America, for coaching. They had
Nice.
a phenomenal coaching program. You had every national coach. They had about 6 or 7 or 8 for national teams at the school involved in their coaching program. My
Wow.
original goal actually was to coach Canada's first gold medal decathlete in the 1996 games. That's what
That,
I wanted to do.
wow. Okay.
I was so focused on that.
Yeah.
Because I always admired decathletes. I always thought that they're just magnificent athletes, the stuff they do, how they do it.
Yes.
And so I really focused on that. And I spent a number of years doing it until I quickly found out, as many of us do in the coaching stream,
Yeah.
uh, and at that time, you really can't survive. The US is better, but Canada for sure, it's really tough to survive because you don't really get paid much. The government doesn't support you that much, even at a national level. I was recommended to become a teacher. I didn't want to do that. So anyway, long story short, I moved away from that, decided, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to move to the US. I want to stay in Canada, don't want to teach. And then I ended up working for the YMCA movement at that point in time and fell in
Okay.
love with that organization. Loved the Y. I spent 15 years in the not-for-profit world, loved working in the not-for-profit world, meaningful, solid work in downtown Toronto.
Nice.
Came to London, and then I left the YMCA because I always wanted to do work in the for-profit world, and that's when I started working in the for-profit world. And I started knocking on doors, selling back in the days, for those of you that are on the call and remember those days
Oh,
of
the door
walking
knocks.
around with your suitcase, knocking on the door with your product and trying to sell your product door to door, not consumer, but business to business,
Right.
B2B. And I have to be honest with you, Chris, I will stop there and tell you that was probably the most gut-wrenching, soul-destroying work I've ever done in my life. To go out and make 20, 30 calls a day, 5 days a week, day in and day out, it was so hard. And
Pretty
not sell anything.
demoralizing. Yeah,
Oh,
because they're not rejecting you, but it sure feels like it.
yeah, it was so. I remember I used to get done calls. I'd get on the phone with my wife from the car and I'd say, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. Long story short, I continued on. I tried to quit actually a couple of times, but the owner of the company said, no, no, hang in there. He was great. He said, you got to hang in there. Sales is like this. And sure enough, things turned for me. And then I went
Nice.
on to have a very successful career in selling and moved my way up to become one of the owners of the company as well. Kind of worked
Nice.
my way through the ranks for 20 years. But while I was doing that,
Yeah.
I was acting on stage. And because acting had
Nice.
always been something in the background that I was always, again, it comes out that performer piece,
Yeah.
loved acting. And I didn't go pro because I really struggled with it because I felt the artist life is hard. It's tough. For those
Yep.
artists that are listening, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not
100%.
easy. It's a tough way, especially for acting because you're having to travel. You have to go where the money is. You're billeting in people's homes, and
If you get
it's
hired, right?
if you get picked up,
That
right.
was, and just not to deviate too much, but when I was in trying to decide what to do after high school, I really enjoyed acting. I loved it.
Mm,
And then I thought, I don't know that I want, like, I mean, there's not that I didn't have dreams and confidence, but I said, like, I don't really know if I want to go and put all my eggs in this basket and then potentially just be a waitress. And nothing wrong with waitressing, but
yeah.
if that's not, like, I didn't want to be someone that just like was in a handful of people that wasn't wasn't making it. And I
Yes.
think if I put more into like if more eggs in that basket, I could have really gone for it, but it wasn't for me. But I'm so, so impressed and so humbled by the people that have done that and made it.
Yes.
I'm sure for every one
Absolutely.
of them, there's probably like 100 that didn't.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just a constant. It's I know you want to talk about rejection.
I was gonna
Um,
say, like your
oh
door-to-door
boy.
stuff is probably nothing compared to
Oh.
that.
Oh, and I had a few of those. You walk in the door, no thank you. You haven't even said a word. They just look at you, no thanks. And it's like, oh, okay. So you did all this preparation for like 2 seconds, no thank you, and then you're out the door. It was really tough. Now, fortunately, because I didn't go pro, what that left me to do was is that I could pick and choose.
Yes.
I wasn't part of the actors union, which is fine to be part of that. It actually really helps you in many ways, but it also restricts you that you can only do certain shows that are union shops and all that stuff. So the nice thing about being somewhat independent from that is that you could do a whole bunch of different shows anywhere.
Yes.
And in many cases you got picked up. And so fortunately for me at that time, I had so many opportunities to do that and I would jump at every single one. So
Nice.
it was busy.
Yeah.
Yes, really busy life. You work full time in sales, which we all know what
Yeah.
that's like when you're a sales
Yep.
manager, which I was, or sales director, which I was. And then to punch the clock and say, which is hard to do in sales, but 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm done. Then I'd go to rehearsal or I'd go do
Yeah.
a show. And to be honest with you, Krystal, at the time it was hard. It was exhausting,
Yeah.
but the value, what each one did for me, that experience in business and that experience of performing on stage, it was huge.
Yeah.
They both helped. Um, both careers
Yeah.
really helped each other. And when I decided to leave, because the company, the owners had sold, we had sold to a company in the United States in around 2018, and that's when I decided to leave and start my own business. And that's when I pulled together um, the idea of helping people be able to get up in front of a room full of people
Yeah.
and really truly connect, not just give a presentation,
Yeah.
but really do it in a meaningful way that people are going to remember. They're going to remember what you said.
Yeah.
I know after Krystal presents 2 weeks later, boom, I'm going to remember what it was that you wanted me to do or what you were trying to impress
Yes.
upon me, what you wanted me to. That to me is what is so incredibly valuable. And so that's where
Oh,
this started from. So that's
I
how I got
love
to where I am
that.
now.
I
Yeah.
love that. And
Yeah.
guys, like the thing is like, so let's say, and this is where like I went to Chris, so you don't have to be like afraid to speak to hire
Hmm.
someone as amazing as Chris. Because for me, I had no fear in speaking. Like my
Right.
confidence was fine. My problem was that I was very honest with myself and I was like, the feedback I would get after I would present or speak was and I told Chris this, but I kid you not. Oh, that was really good. You're so calm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
so so calm. And I'm like, well, I didn't feel calm, and my message was supposed to be. I was going for impactful. So if I just like gave them all like a late night radio show, I need something's gotta shift here because my internal energy was not matching my output.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that happens a lot. And I think that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
And really, yeah. And I call that the illusion of transparency that we all have. And that's where
Yes.
we overestimate the ability of the audience to read our emotional state. They can't. They might
Yes.
be able to look at you. I mean, most people know when you're out there speaking, they already know you're nervous. People
Yeah.
get that. The audience knows. So you don't need to tell them. They get it because they've probably been there. And
Yep.
trust me, 2/3 or 80% of them are sitting there going, I'm glad it's you up there and not
Yes.
me. So
Yep.
they're loving it. And so but they're not watching you as closely. But I know that that's something that happens. It's kind of combined with that spotlight effect we have that we think that when we're up there, that 100% of everything in that room is on me.
Yeah.
All the attention is on me, every word, every movement.
Yep.
And that makes us very self-conscious. The reality,
100%.
they're not
We
as
should
focused
be
on
so
me with you.
lucky. Like
Yeah,
if you even have some of that attention, it was a good
exactly.
day. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're not paying that much attention. They're not looking at, I mean,
Yes.
when was the last time we're all audience members? We're like everybody else. We've been in an audience. When was the last time you went and you sat there and you thought, gee, I really hope Krystal does a terrible presentation? I mean, you don't think that. It's
Nobody ever
we're
thinks that.
rooting for, yeah, we're not looking for the mistake. You are as the
Yeah.
speaker because that's our,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that what can happen. We get into those loops in our mind that can kind of convince ourselves that we're not going to do a good job. But yeah,
Yes. And that
absolutely.
that leads me to something, and this is probably important on every level, whether you're presenting in a sales meeting, whether you're presenting in front of an audience. They don't know how it's supposed to go. So unless you handed out a script in advance, it is your show. So if
Yeah,
you mess up the order of what you were supposed to say, they have no idea that it
that's
wasn't
right.
supposed to be that way.
They don't know. I used to beat myself up notoriously for dropping lines in
Yeah,
play, but the director would always say, "Who cares?
they didn't
The
know.
audience doesn't know the line. Your fellow actors do probably, but the other one,
Yeah,
they don't know."
yeah,
So yeah, what's the big deal? You just keep moving forward, but you
yes.
notice it. I know that feeling though. It's really hard,
No,
but you think the audience sees it
yes.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually find doing my podcast, and I know you have what is your podcast called?
Speak like your wealth depends on it.
Yeah, Speak Like Your Wealth Depends on It. So, and that is on Spotify.
Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. Yeah, I'm on all three.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Speak Like Your Wealth Depends on It. And the thing is, it does, guys. Sometimes it does, like many times
Mm.
it does. Um, but one of the things I find in doing these podcasts is my comfort with speaking without a script has like quadrupled.
Yes. Yeah.
You can hear, and it's so, I don't know if you've ever gone back to like hear like your first few. I tried, and like I was just like the whole time because like I can
Mm.
hear papers as I'm like reading and
Yeah.
changing the
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
And so now, like if it's this, I have no script. I'm just excited to hear your story. And for my solo
Absolutely.
episodes, I put my 3 points down and I just go to town and talk about them.
Perfect.
But yeah, no more rustling of the papers.
And that is one of the best things that you can do. I mean, if anybody ever asks me, so I always like the pause is the one key thing I like to share with people because I do think
Yes,
slowing down is so helpful. The
yes,
second thing I always encourage everybody to do, speak everywhere. Every single chance you get to speak. That's the best practice. It's
yes,
not the big stage, it's not the big presentation that's going to have you grow and improve. It's the dozen little ones you do. It's the time you
yes,
raise your hand in the team meeting and speak up.
yes.
It's time when you do a podcast. It's those moments where you're at a family event and you speak up. I mean, we have so many speaking opportunities that really help us. They're great practice. And the more you do them,
Yes.
the better. It just
Yeah.
happens. It's just practice. It just, yeah, absolutely. Got to get
It's
the reps in.
absolutely. And so I'm actually doing, I mentioned to you, I'm doing improv.
Oh,
So
wonderful. Yeah,
yeah, so the improv we're doing, we actually have a show at the end of April. Um,
wonderful.
and the thing I love about it, and I'm kind of shouting from the rooftops, yes, there's a performance, and that's what I'm choosing to do. You do not have to like anything like an improv or speaking or a Toastmasters. You're just you're getting the reps in. Like you think faster, and your brain all of a sudden just fires things fire off differently.
Absolutely. You're making a change in the way you think and
Yes.
and you start to build the muscle memory and you can't get away from that.
Yep.
It's like anything, right? You just get so used to it. And as you've learned probably in improv, so many of us, when we look at that, which by the way, if anybody has an opportunity to take an improv class, I highly recommend it for all
So
kinds of
good.
applications.
Yeah.
Personally, professionally, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because what I like about improv, it's exactly what you just said, Krystal. It flips the way you think,
Yes.
right? It changes the way you approach, how you respond. And that's one of the things I know I loved. I did improv as well, and I loved the idea of what it taught me the most. It taught me that I don't have to be perfect in my
Hmm.
response. But
Yep.
what do we do instantly? We're big professional business person, so I have to
Yep.
sound really bright and sound dead on, and everything I say has to be crystal clear and perfect. Absolutely, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
All you have to do is respond. And I think in today's world, so many people appreciate that better. Where no, I'm hearing from you. I'm not hearing from all the industry jargon. You're not sitting there trying to sound very, switched on and
Yep.
just be yourself and just respond. That's what people respond to. That's what people are going to connect with. And that's what I loved about improv. It's so much about just responding.
It's responding, but it's also I find like a few things that are really key because I'm in it, but I'm also observing it because
Mm,
I'm trying to help them like get it out to more businesses. Um, One of the things is that you have to let go of control,
absolutely.
trust your partner, but also make your partner look good. So it puts us out of this like North American mentality that like if I want to succeed, I have to show them that I'm the superstar. I'm in
Right.
charge, it goes my way, versus, hey, like we're a team and we are going to be good because we together are good.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
I think we don't go there.
No, we don't. Not in business. No, we're
Yeah.
very individualistic that way. It's that individualism sometimes as
Yes.
opposed to collaboration. We all talk about that, but you're
Yes.
absolutely right. I think a lot of our life is very much we're taught,
Yes.
we make the change. We're the difference. It's about us. It's my
Yep.
responsibility. And we're socialized that way, which is unfortunate. I think it's good
Yep.
on the one hand, as there's good and bad and everything, obviously, but I think, yeah, that there's a real drawback with that individualism, and that is you don't collaborate much. It becomes all on you. So there's this immense
Yep.
pressure on you when there's often people right around you who want to be there with you. They want to help you. And
Yeah.
absolutely, improv is like that. It's one of the
Yeah.
things you learn when you're acting too. You're on
Yes.
there, you're out there for everybody, and you're helping each other. You're working off each other. You're just
Yeah.
responding back and forth. And yeah, it's
So good. And you light up
yes.
when you talk about it, which is cool.
Oh, love it.
Okay, so you had a really great presentation at the LEA, and again, guys,
Mm,
the London Executives Association. But you had a great presentation, and I thought you had some really great points about some common mistakes that people make when they're speaking, when they're presenting.
right.
Um, and I thought it might be good just to kind of go over those to this audience as well. Um, I know you talked about like shadow moves and kind of
Yes.
hiding behind the podium, things like that.
Right.
So I thought it might be a cool idea just to go into a couple of those.
Yeah. So one of the things that we all do in the shadow moves, that's a term that I was given to me by a director on stage because he discovered that I had a shadow move. And a shadow move is something we do that we don't know that we do when we're nervous.
Yes.
And you can, if you watch people closely, sometimes it's in your voice,
Yep.
which can be as in the filler words, the likes and the ums, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with those. It's when they get to be too many. It's when it
Yes.
becomes every second word. It's
Or
the
if you
same
notice
thing
it.
with
Yep.
a physical shadow move. Mine was I would shift
Okay.
and I would stop and my foot would come up and I would shift. And the director once counted about 25 of these in a few minutes.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so I had no idea. So a shadow move are just things that we do, and because we don't know them, we don't know we're doing them. And I've worked with clients because one of
Yeah.
the things I do with clients, and I recommend it to everyone, and we all have smartphones now, which all have cameras.
Yes.
Record yourself,
Yep.
not just the audio, but record yourself. And you don't have to show it to anyone, but just for you to look at to see if you're
Yes.
doing anything that you don't know that you're doing because you don't know. They're involuntary. All it is just excess energy. It's that
Yep.
nervous energy that's up there. It's got to go somewhere. And so we manifest it in different body actions. So some people it's a shift. In
Yes.
LEA, I talked about the cage tiger. That's the
Yep.
person that just
Yep.
constantly paces back and forth. And it's okay to move. It's okay to shift your body, just
Yes.
like it's okay to have some filler words. But when it gets to the point where there's a lot, I know when I'm watching someone who is speaking and they're doing that, I start counting how
Yes.
many times they're doing it.
Yep.
I'm no longer listening to their message. It's
Like, is
gone.
it intentional or is it just like they can't stay still?
They can't stay still. They don't know they're
Yeah.
doing it. And the number of times I've worked with clients who have said, I don't do that. Yeah, you do. And when you show them, they're like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, I had no idea. And
So
so go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I used to have one and I only
Mm,
noticed it because I saw a video of me and I used to always just stand with my hand touching
right.
either my necklace or my collar.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
like, what is this? I just would stand there and I'm like, "Hmm." And then I looked it up and it's a safety thing. I did not feel safe. So I'm like protecting myself from the odd chance somehow. And so
Absolutely.
now if I notice I'm even touching myself at all, I'm just like, I'll just put my hand down. Like
Yeah.
just ever so because I'm so aware of it now, but I just do it without thinking. And I've
Right.
seen things where I stand there the whole time and I'm like, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
like now that I've noticed it, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yes. It doesn't make it now. Sometimes it works and it's fine if it's just a couple of times, but it's when it keeps going,
The whole
people
time. Yeah,
notice. Yes.
yeah,
And so the only way, so people ask me, well, how do I get rid of them? Well, two things. One, there are so many exercises on here.
yeah.
I could spend, and I do spend when I work with clients, I have a whole session dedicated to the whole relaxation thing
Love
about
it.
how you relax and just sort of try to get to your body to that state where you're ready to connect with the audience and speak without all the noise going on.
Yeah.
Relaxation is so key too, and I learned a lot of it in acting. Acting classes, your first few acting classes you ever take, are all about relaxation, much for
Nice.
the same reason. Because if
Yeah.
you're relaxed, you're open, you're in the moment, you can pay attention, you can read the room, you're taking your time. Again, slowing down, as I said.
Yeah.
Um, so I tell people to get rid of the shadow moves, you have to learn how to minimize that nervous energy. You're never going to get rid of it, and I suggest you don't. You'll never get rid of nerves, and I don't think you should. It's just natural. But you don't want them so overwhelming that your body doesn't know what to do with this excess energy that you start doing those moves. And then the second thing, of course, is what I already mentioned. Either film yourself so you can watch it, or have a trusted friend, and I say trusted because you need to have that kind of friend, and I hope all of us do, that's not afraid to give you the bad news.
Yeah.
That's not afraid to say, yeah, that wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you keep doing this and it's really irritating. You need someone to be able to give you, that just that direct
Yep.
feedback because once you're aware of it, you're good.
Yes.
Combined with lowering your nervous energy, you will find ways to work around it. There are certain things you can do too. I mean, you can. I talk about with one client that found it quite successful, actually, with a couple of clients, was what I call the 3-in-1. These are for the nervous movers. I tell people take 3 steps and stop.
Oh, I like
Just
that.
go 1, 2, 3, and just stop.
Yeah.
And that way, if you have that moving piece, and do that at first so that you discipline yourself just to come to, take a few steps, which is great. Moving in a presentation, moving when you're speaking is fine. It's a great way to get attention. It's a great way to keep an audience engaged. Again, it's just that if it's not so fast and erratic.
Yes.
So if you take 3 steps and stop, that's fine because now you've
It
stopped and
seems
you're
like you
making
did
your
it on
point.
purpose. Like it was part of the
Correct. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and
Um,
eventually, as you start to work through it and you get more confident, those moves become very natural for you. And that's what's good. You'll find your own way and you'll start to pick up on it very, very quickly.
I find that so, and you kind of alluded to it with your director told you about the moving, and then so you're able to start counting other people's things, right? So like when you've noticed something in you, you'll notice it in someone else.
Yes.
When I first started doing my podcast, I told you about my like the wrestling, but then I also had a microphone, and my microphone would pick up every time I would like swallow.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And I started, someone mentioned it to me. I'm like, oh, it can't be that bad. And I listened and I was like, it's all I could hear. So now I can't remember who, there's like a famous person though, and he has a lot of videos. And now like, it's all I hear is him like swallowing. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't listen to it. It's great
Yeah.
messaging, but I can't do it. Like it literally is, I don't know if it like triggers me from my own, but
Mm.
I'm just like, oh goodness, I spent so much time getting rid of that.
That you pick up on other people. Absolutely. I know. And it gets tough. I've had that too, where you start to watch other people. Well, since I've been doing this profession for a few years now,
Oh, I'm sure.
I see it a lot. Yeah, it's a
Yep.
bad habit, sort of hazard of the job, so to speak. Um, and you start listening for those things, and you
Yes.
notice people's breathing. Some people, when they take a breath, it's really loud, or they have a lot of air in their voice, and
Yeah.
there's all kind. And we all have them. And like I
Me
said, it's
too.
not.
There's
It's
nothing
not
wrong
a
with
really,
it.
it's really not a bad thing just when it's so incessant. That's where it becomes really tough. So
Would you say, and I would say, I'm going to say you will agree with this, but would you say it becomes an issue if your messaging is being is not being heard because the other things you're doing are distracting the audience?
absolutely, that's what
Okay.
happens.
And
Yeah,
that's the line. Like it's not, no one's trying to judge you, but if you're not going to be understood by people because you're doing something else, that's
right.
where the communication is being broken down.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
that is one of the hardest things that we have. I mean, the average audience is, I'll be really blunt. The average audience, it's tough. It's a tough audience.
Busy. They have their
We
own
are.
stuff
Because
going
we're
on. Yeah.
right.
And
Always
of
know that
course the phone.
whoever's
They'll
sorry.
have a phone, right?
Yeah.
They
And
have their
always know
phone
that
and you need to like get them out of there. Yeah.
right. And so every audience member is always coming in with, what am I going to make for dinner? I got to pick that up. I hope my
Yep.
mom's okay. I hope my kids are okay. I hope I got is that customer angry. We're all coming with this stuff in our head. So it's very hard if you add something more to it,
Yes.
with the distraction, it makes it even harder for people to retain. Because all of us, when we present, we're trying to leave a message so that I'm going to remember something. It's going to change me. I'm going to learn something, or I'm going to
Yes.
gain something from this. And it's hard enough because just as humans, what do we got? What do they say? Like 50,000 thoughts in 24 hours on average. I mean, we have so much going on all the time
Yes.
that to add something more to it,
Yeah.
with like a distraction, it just makes your message that much harder to get across. So,
But I think that's why your services are so much more needed because as much as we've all sat there being distracted in a presentation, we've also sat there enthralled by a presentation,
oh,
right?
yes,
The one that makes you put your phone down and go, "Oh, what's going on? Hey, what's
absolutely. Yeah.
this?"
Yeah. Change lives. Oh, I
Yeah.
know several that have changed my life, like
Yeah, same.
incredibly so. Oh, yeah. Where I've just gone out of there going, wow, okay, I've moved. The earth moved at that
Yes.
moment. I really
Because
felt that. Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
the impact, right? We're all trying to do that to our
Yes,
audience. And so
absolutely.
because we've had it done to us. Yeah,
Yes.
so cool.
Well, I also think we all have it in us. We all have that ability. We're also interesting. It's one of the things I find with so many clients. I often hear it. I'm not that creative, because I use stories a lot. Everybody said, well, I don't have any stories. And I always say, and it hasn't failed me yet, we spend 20 minutes or so and we just go through your life and we,
Yeah.
we jot down some stuff. And there's a couple of other exercises I use. It's incredibly interesting. And I think there hasn't been a person, in all honesty, where I've sat there and gone, yeah, you got nothing. It's
That's true.
like,
Nothing
are
has
you
happened to
kidding
you.
me?
Sorry.
You've got a phenomenal story. Tell that. That's a phenomenal story because
Yeah.
we've all struggled. Share that.
Yes.
People love to hear about a struggle and how you overcame. There's the story. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, and you can adapt it in so many circumstances. And
Yes.
and or a bad relationship or a loss. I mean, and all audiences love that. We all love hearing about those things, and I think all of us have it.
Yeah.
And yet, are there ways to be able to structure it so it's more real? Of course. Is there ways to deliver it so that it's more powerful to people? Absolutely. And that's where I can come in and help people
Yeah.
add that, put that cherry on the sundae, if you will, and just take
Yeah.
it to that next level where you're really having the impact. Repeat, like you say, the heads are up, the phones are down, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta wait till this is over. I gotta hear this person out. Um,
Right.
and it's not
Yeah.
difficult. Seriously.
It's so important. And I know like I met Evan Carmichael. We just had his
Hmm.
episode on. And Evan, I met him because he had an amazing speech at an event that I went to.
Right.
And it was just so good. And there like everyone there had had like training. Um, but I remember saying what was it that like what do you do basically? And he was like, the one thing for him, because he's an introvert, I think a lot of
Hmm.
us are introverts, but we still have a message to give. He said, like, I stopped overthinking the crowd and I
Yeah.
started going, can I tailor this and be speaking to one or two people?
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
is that kind of like, do you notice that too? I haven't done it yet, but I'm as I'm working on this speech I have to do, I'm trying to get my mindset right about that because I want everyone to listen.
Right.
But so it's not one person, it's one persona, maybe?
Right. He's
Is
got
that
a
the right?
yeah, he's making an excellent point because if you take a
Yeah.
look, it's very overwhelming if you look at a crowded room and think you've got to talk to each and every person in there. Absolutely not.
Somehow impact every single one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely if it works for you, I have heard that technique before. You just focus on one or two people. And I do agree with that. I take a slightly different approach where I would turn around and there's an exercise I go through with people as far as really doing a bit of a deep dive in the audience. It's not exhaustive, it's not long. It can take you, 15, 20 minutes to go through and just come up with. I like to ask everybody to put down what does the audience not know about what you're talking about?
Mm,
And
yes.
what don't they know? Because how many times have we gone to a presentation and you're sitting there going, I've heard this before.
Yeah.
Like, tell
Why are
me
you wasting
something.
our time?
And
Yeah.
what do we want? Tell me something I don't know. And
Yes.
so if you can focus on that, I find that helps. And also realizing, which is where I think Evan was going, is that you're lucky if anybody remembers one thing that you said
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
presentation. And that goes for anybody. That goes for the Tony Robbins and the Brene Browns and
Yeah.
the Simon Sinek's and all the big Adam Grants, all the big people out there that do all the big
Yes.
rooms. It's the
Yep.
same thing. One thing,
Yeah.
maybe two. That's human nature. It's
Yeah.
just the way we are. And so if you focus on what I'd like them to take away, I think it's the same thing as Evan's saying. I'm focusing on just a couple of things, one or two people. I'm doing it for the room, but I'm really focusing
Yeah.
on one or two key messages. It really does help to, uh, um, I agree with them on that. I mean, the
Yeah.
more brief, brevity is so important. Brief, it's because a lot of us can overtalk. That was my biggest problem. It still is. I can go on. I've got to
Yeah.
catch myself to, yeah, be short, brief, clear.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've had to, as I've had to, I'm preparing for this, I'm meeting with these boards. And so some of them have been like, oh, like, and it's different, right? Because there's no formula. So I've set up these meetings. One of them, we chatted for half an hour and it was great. We
Mm,
dialogue. The other one, they're like, okay, so we're going to have 4 minutes for you.
wow.
And then I'm like, okay, I can do 4 minutes. Um, and then we had to actually do it, I think, in 3 minutes because something had happened, I guess, with their schedule. And so I was like trying to race through like my introduction, which I mean, I acknowledged it. I said, like, you know what? I really want to leave like a minute for questions if we have them. So like, here's me, why I want to do it, all about me, why I'm qualified. And I said, okay. And I made a joke. I was like, whew. I'm like, I think that was fast, but I mean, like, it's all in my resume.
Mm,
And I was like, but now we have questions. Um, and so it's interesting because, and I was right before lunch. And I'm like, so I even said, like, I know, like, I'm what's keeping you from eating. So, like, I'm here for you. Like, what can I tell you?
mm.
Um, but the thing is, like, you have to make it work if you're
Oh,
given
yeah.
something, right? Like, hopefully,
Yes.
no one's going to be given 4 minutes. But if you are, like, you know what? They've given you 4 minutes of what was probably a very packed schedule. So, like, can you make an impact in that time?
Absolutely. You make an impact in 40 seconds if you want to. I mean,
It's
it's
it was our prep that helped me though, because I was able to like race through, but I was just like, I'm like point, point, point. And then I was
yes.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I
And
felt good about it.
and it's so true. And that's a tough situation to be in though. So hats off to you. Congratulations in
Thank
doing that.
you.
That's not an easy place to be when somebody kind of throws that at you and you got a very short timeline and
Yes,
it happens all of a sudden where you think you've got this much time and they pull it down to that much time. But it's a great exercise to do.
yes,
If you know, a lot of people ask me about TED Talks and how come TED Talks are so good. And I've known a lot of people who've prepared for those. And one of the things that you learn very quickly is that they work at that you will get it down to no more than 12 minutes. Has to be
yeah.
12. I think
12 minutes.
18 is their
Okay.
max, but 18 is even a special exception for the really big speakers.
Yeah.
It's short. And so you may walk in with 30 minutes, but you got to
Yeah.
get it down to 12. And to do that, to go through that process is phenomenal because it forces you to get really, I'm sure when somebody said, okay, Chris, you got five, now you got three, excuse me,
Yeah.
now you got 3 minutes, you've got to really focus real quick. Okay, what's really important
Dial
here?
it in. And
Get
it's
it
funny
in.
when you just said that, I realized that this is not my shadow move. It's this. It's where I put my
Mm.
hand here and I touch my neck. So I was like, oh, I'm talking about something that made me nervous, and then I'm protecting myself. I'm like, oh, and then you notice it though, right? I'm like, okay,
Yes.
we're fine.
As I said, yeah, as long as you don't do it too often, it's fine to do
Yeah.
it. A lot of people come at me, as I said earlier, about filler words,
Yes.
the ums and the likes. It happens, and it often happens, particularly in spontaneous situations. The ums are fine. They're actually mini pauses. They give you a minute. You know, you're really just trying to process things. You're trying to give an honest answer. There's nothing wrong with them. Um, great example. And I'm not getting into politics here, but if you listen to the two sides of Mark Carney, if you
Yes.
listen to his Davos speech, which was obviously him being well prepared, and quite frankly, technically probably is a master class on how to deliver a speech.
Yes.
It was really delivered well. Like him or hate him, just look at it technically for the way he delivered that was solid. But watch him when he's at press conferences. I think I counted about 15 or 16 ums in the few minutes he was speaking. Um, um, like he brings them up a
I can't
lot.
even imagine what that room's like too, because like
Yeah,
it's so volatile right now. And he's just, I feel like you can prepare everything, but if you don't know what's being thrown at you, and their whole
no.
job is to kind of trip him up a little bit, right?
Of course. And that's the idea because that's what makes news.
Yeah,
But so it's okay to have them in that play. I mean,
yeah,
it's a natural process. Like I said, it's when it gets to be a lot.
Yes.
that's when it becomes a problem. And the better you
And
know your material, a lot of
I
it's
was gonna
preparation
say,
as well.
yeah, and you mentioned about material prep too when we were talking, because I think if you, there's a difference between trying to decide how you're going to say something and trying to figure out what you're going to say. Right? Like you have the
Absolutely.
information, you can just
Yes.
try to figure out how can I best say this so that it gets across versus, ooh, what am I going to say? I don't know the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, and I think, and so that's a really interesting thing, and even the experience that you've had with acting, which is the background I come from, and sometimes when I
Yeah,
work with clients, that comes up. Oh, you're not going to make me memorize because that's what everybody thinks happens when you're acting. And yeah, there is because in some cases you have to be true to the text, and I have
yeah,
worked
it's
with
someone
directors.
else's art. Yeah,
Yeah, and I have worked with directors who will catch you. You didn't say the. You know, you've got to say the. I've worked with people where it's like
yeah,
really like you're hitting word for word for word.
yeah,
And then I've worked with people where it's a little more freestyle. You're still true to the text, but you've got more
right.
room to so where just add little bits and pieces to it. But again, you have to be somewhat limited. Same thing when you're doing a presentation. You're not memorizing. I'm not a fan of keeping things word for word because when we do that, then we're keeping it up here in our head. And as I said, that's a dangerous place for our stuff to reside because our heads can only take so much. And a lot of us deal with what's called attention residue. You've always got stuff in your subconscious. Your mind is full. Even though we're not aware of it, it's there and it's taking
Yeah,
up space. To then load a word for word presentation that's probably thousands of words, it's it's really hard. And there you are trying to pay attention to the audience, trying to be aware you're in the room.
yeah,
It's such an overload. So I always encourage people that to really know your material, it's about repeating it and repeating it and
yeah,
repeating it and going over it. And I suggest to clients all the time, repeat it in the bathroom, walking the dog, at the gym.
yeah,
You don't have to do it loud. You can say it to yourself, but repeat it at different times and just run it over and over. And I think the more you live with the material,
yes,
the more comfortable you're going to be when you get up in front of a room because you know it so well.
yes,
That no matter what happens, I'm just, I know where I'm going because I know it so well. I
yes,
know to find my way back. And it's a lot, you've got a lot more flexibility. Plus, the beauty of that, Krystal, the absolute beautiful thing about that is that when you know something really well,
yeah,
it's you. It's you.
yes,
It's your natural pause. It's your
yeah,
natural movement. It's the conversation. It's like you and I talking now. It's this conversation. It's not presentation where you're in the room and it's like dictating it. It's
well,
now a conversation, right? And that's
yes.
what makes that so beautiful when you really own it.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is like when we're talking about like knowing the material, and I think
Mm.
Chris can help you present the material, but like we're in an age where we have so many tools at our fingertips. Like I was
Oh,
just
yes.
mentioning like Notebook LM.
Yeah.
So we all learn differently. Now I have my MBA, I've been to school, I've done lots of stuff.
Mm.
Even that, I've been on boards, like, and I review like hundreds and hundreds of pages. And even then, I'm just like, I'm never 100% confident that I have all of it, right?
Right.
Like you read 500 pages, you're a human being, right?
Mm.
There might be something that because you're focused on the different things. So this Notebook LM, it's not for sharing, it's for learning. And I
Right.
learned about it from another colleague on one of these podcasts. And so you can basically take all of this material, and it's private, it's your own. You're not sharing it out to the world. Um, but you put all of it in and it gives you a little podcast that talks about the facts that you just put in. But it talks about it in like real language. And so as
Mm.
it's going, there's hair stuck on my face somewhere. But as it's going, um, it's just talking to you about it. And then you can go back and review the material and then you can speak about it in your own way. You don't have to worry that you missed something. And if someone asks you about something, you know it was in there. And
Yeah.
so like it's a kind of a cool thing. And like
Hmm.
that same thing, like you can listen to the podcast. They also will do flashcards on it, a test, video.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Great tool.
And it's just we learn differently, but I found from this I can retain statistics and data a lot easier. Like I'm usually really
Wonderful.
great at the concepts of things, or if there's an issue, but when it comes to like understanding, remembering like the exact numbers. I'm just like, there's so many numbers. And it's like, and I'm a realtor, so I'm like dealing with like MLS numbers and square footage and price and like there's only so much that I can keep straight. So I found it a really good tool. So if you have something important that you need to remember, get Chris to help you with the presentation, but just find your own way to remember the actual things you're going to be talking about, right?
Right.
Like you can teach them how to say it. And then if you're struggling with how to remember it, that's my memory tip of the day.
Sounds excellent. Sounds amazing.
It's
And
really
what
good.
I often tell people, I read an excellent book this past year called Moonwalking with Einstein. And
Ooh,
the gentleman talked about memory
okay.
and talked about how we don't use it anymore. And because there really isn't any need to, because we don't have to remember things. We don't have to remember addresses. We really don't have to remember routes because we
Yep.
all have smart, our technology helps us do so many things.
Yes.
We don't even have to remember phone numbers. We just punch in
Yep.
someone's name and do the dial. So he talked about this deterioration of the memory, but memory really it really is an exercise that can be improved upon. And
Yes.
he goes around the world to there's actually memory contests. It is phenomenal what some of these people remember in a
Yep.
very short period of time. That's the competition. But when you realize what these individuals do, they just practice.
Yes.
They do
Yes.
all kinds of exercises and again, it's the same thing. You've got to put in the work. But what was no what I found really interesting about it was you get better at it.
Yep.
The memory gets better. So yes, a
Yes.
lot of people sit there and go, well, I don't want to memorize it. If you've got a presentation that you're going to do two or three times,
Yep.
the first time is going to be tough, like as with anything. You got to run it, and then you got to
Yes.
get up in front of an audience because how you do it on your own in your space,
Different.
and then get in the room, it's very different, right? There's that gap of how we are when it's just me, myself, and I in my room
Yep.
practicing, or in front of my trusted friend. But then I get up in front of 20, 30, 200 people
Yep.
in a big room. It's different again. You've got to run it, and so.
I'm gonna push back on that and saying if it's the trusted friend, maybe, but speaking to themselves is maybe easier. You are a good intermediate step though, right? Because you're not a trusted friend yet, right? Like they wouldn't know
Mhm.
you if they hire you, but they're going to trip up on things that they may trip up on stage, right?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, the trusted friend is good, but I think having you, who's like a professional in this,
Absolutely.
is way like the trust, like you might be able to, in front of your friend, you might be like, yeah, and then the tree grew and it was amazing. And then in front of everyone, you might forget that there was a tree at all.
Right. Right. So yeah, and exactly. And of course, I've got nothing, that trusted person has often got a vested interest often in the presentation, perhaps. And so
Yeah.
that changes things a bit as well. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a third party. And I think for many people, we don't realize the things we do. I mean, the number of clients that I've had say,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to record my voice. I hate the way I sound. I said, well, have you ever listened to it? No. Well, what are you talking about the way you sound? Because they're listening to the way we are now. The way we hear ourselves when we
Yeah.
speak, it's so different when you
Yeah.
play it back. And I'd say 90% of my clients, I think I only had one person that didn't like it. But everybody else is like this moment of like, wow, I sound pretty good. It's like, yeah, you do.
That
You
is,
sound
see,
great.
that is a way better way to say it because when I became a realtor, my first like month, we had this training
Mm,
and she was talking to us about recording videos. And someone said, like, I don't know if I like my voice. I don't know if I like how I look. And she's like, oh,
right.
you don't like your voice. You don't like how you look. She goes, well, that's how you sound. And that's how you look. And that's how people are meeting you. So you're going to need to fall in love with those two things.
That's
And on we go. But she was like, if you don't like it, tough cookies. Like, this is what you were dealt. So you're going to just like love it because you've been talking to people with this voice and this face every day since before today, and you'll be
yeah,
continuing to do it. So your
exactly.
way is a little gentler.
Exactly. Exactly. But people are just so coming back to your point,
Yeah.
having that third person, so to speak, that third party listen in, don't know you, never heard you, no bias,
Yeah.
no nothing. It's incredibly valuable, just like it is to find a story.
Yeah.
Because, well,
Yes.
let somebody else do it for you because there's things we don't pick up. that someone else picks up that is like, are
Yes.
you kidding me? That's a nugget. There's the gold.
Yes.
That's what you've got to, where you probably wouldn't do it because you think
Yeah.
it's like, it was nothing. And someone else is looking at it going, are you kidding me? That's the piece you've got to share with people. That's
Yes.
where it's so valuable to have someone like myself come in and
Yeah.
go over things with you, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned about the memory. So I was very interested last year. As a woman in my 40s, I was noticing some gradual memory loss, and it was
Right.
bothering me because I've always had
Mm.
a really good memory. And so I did research on it, and I found out you can actually like you can grow the memory back, right? Like it may.
Yes.
Right? And
Yep.
so Mind Valley is a really cool. It's an app. It's an organization,
Mm. Yep.
but they hired Jim Quick, who is like a memory expert, to do a course
Mm.
on memory. So I did it in the summer, and it was so cool because he teaches you some really cool tricks on how to remember. Like there's this thing called the sun list, which I still know to this day.
Yes.
And he teaches you how to remember the elements, like the elements of the scientific elements, the chart of the elements. And it's cool stuff because like it's all story based, which is very much up
Yes.
your alley.
Right. And it's so funny you say that because that was one of the shocking things in the book
Yes.
that I learned.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to what you're saying, Krystal, is
Yeah.
that to remember more, you have to remember more. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like to have a better memory, you've
Yes.
got to remember more things. Like there were always these associations with things.
Yeah.
So if somebody had to remember like the chart of elements or the table of elements,
Yeah. It's a
they would
story.
have, as you said, stories. They'd have words or stories or something to go with it. And when you looked at it, it's like, well, that's so much more information. But that's what you actually need to be able to
That's how
make
your
that
brain
association
learns
to
and
remember.
links.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because it's so, it's not what we think, right? It's so opposite to what
Yeah.
we think. It's like, well, I should just be really short and brief. When no, to really remember things, you've got to remember other things with it. There's that whole association with it. It's so true.
I
Yeah.
think the difference is that memorization is very much about the short-term memory.
Mm,
Learning is the long-term memory. So if you're learning a
absolutely.
story, like if you're just trying to memorize it, and I mean, I think we're so guilty of it now with all these six-digit codes.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you've had to enter like your authentication codes. I can't tell you how, like probably 50 in the last week I've had to enter.
No kidding. Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you $1 million right now. I can't even tell you one of them. I had
Yeah.
to remember them for a few seconds. I don't even know one of them right
And then it's
now,
gone. Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
it's just our brain. It's not efficient. It's like
Yes.
you don't need it
No.
again. Boom, out.
Yeah. No, your
But
brain is very solid that way. And that's what I've always said with great speakers. If you look at the great people that we've really been moved by, and even the
yes,
great historical speakers, one of the things that they're talking about, which is the same thing we talk about when we're up
yeah,
presenting or when we're in a heavy conversation, it's what we live with every day.
yes,
It's nothing new.
yep,
Is what we live with. So a lot of the great speakers are they're just talking about what it is they do every single day. They're
yeah,
living with it, right?
yeah,
It's there already. Now, you may have to tailor things to a specific audience.
yeah,
Obviously, that's the whole point. But what I think makes it so casual when people say, "Wow, they're so easy the way they speak." That's because they've probably done this and talked about this so many times
yeah.
that it just becomes part of who you are. That to me is where you really want to be. You're right. It's not about memorization. It's not keeping all the word for word.
No,
It's just, I'm just talking about what I deal with every day, what's already there. I'm already the expert. I
internalizing
live
it.
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's there. It's in me. And so, and sometimes you got to think a little bit because my only caution to people who don't come with any structure, or don't take the time to kind of really think about what they're going to say,
yeah.
you can get into the meandering, right? You get into the rambling.
You want to stick to
All
your
this,
point.
you take
Say
the
the
audience
point.
over here, and then you take the audience here, and it's like, as I said earlier, your audience is already full. They're struggling. Don't make
Yeah,
it hard for them because the minute you make an audience work too hard, it's good
yeah,
to make them work. Nothing wrong with making people think.
yeah,
That's fine, but it's a careful balance. If it's too hard,
yeah,
then it's like, ugh, forget it. And they just shut down. Give me my phone or,
yeah.
got that important phone call. Oh, someone's calling me. Excuse me. To get out
Absolutely.
of the
And
room.
you notice it. Like you notice it even in a meeting. If someone doesn't like what's being talked about, the phone comes out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, lost him. Um,
That part drives me nuts. That's a real pet peeve of mine. I actually tried that in one training session I did, and I got so much pushback I had to release it. I had a box. It's a little old school, but I was so frustrated at a previous training session with the phones.
Yeah.
I said, I want everybody to put their phone in a box before they come in. You should have seen. People were
Oh,
outright
people get very mad. I tried
huge.
to even have people have them turned over and not touch them. They're not they're not interested. So,
Yeah, drives me nuts.
so we're
Yes,
in the interest of time, we are at the end. So here's what I'm
of course.
going to say. If you guys have enjoyed this and you would like to chat with Chris about an upcoming presentation, even if you don't have an upcoming presentation, even if you just want your speaking skills to get better, he is available for you. So,
Yes.
Chris, what's the best way to reach out to you?
My LinkedIn, just look up Chris McAuley, public speaking coach, and I'm there. That's the best place to find me. You can
And so
DM
it's
me, send me a
MC,
message.
big M, little c, big A, ULEY.
Oh, EY. Yeah.
Yes.
And my email address is Chris, CHRIS,
Yep.
at Chris McCauley, CHRISMCAULEY, all one word, .co. It's a C-O. Because as I
Okay.
said, the Chris at chrismccauley.ca and .com were all gone.
That's
So,
why, yeah, there you go.
yeah, so I had
I
to
will
grab the
put those in the
CO.
show notes as well.
Thank you,
Chris, thank you so much for the time today. This was such a great
Krystal. It's a
conversation.
pleasure. It's always wonderful chatting with you, Krystal. I had such a good
Yes.
time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks.
Guys, thank you so much. This is Krystal Lee Moore Lucier, also known as your home sweet home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. This was Realtor Life, and we will see you next time.